Muslims are once again the centre of UK theatrics in the media and amongst the politicians, this time with the infamous grooming gangs case. Do Asian Muslim men make up the majority of groomers and offenders in the UK? This is an image that has been painted, but how much of this is actually true? Between 10 to 15 years ago in the northern towns of England, it came out that certain men, predominantly Muslim Pakistani men, were involved in these grooming gangs where essentially they were exploiting, grooming, in certain instances raping young white English girls. And the media went in a frenzy over this, painting an image that Muslim Asian men are targeting and attacking white English girls. Very, very quickly became national news. In 2025, and this entire discussion has come up once again. You've had Andrew Tate tweeting about it, Elon Musk has been spearheading it, it's been talked about almost daily in British Parliament about national inquiries, about the real need to tackle this threat. And I agree that anyone found guilty of rape, of exploitation, of pedophilia, no doubt they should be punished. But to say that this issue is predominantly an Asian, Muslim, Pakistani issue is a lie. The statistics do not show that. In fact, from the stats that we do have, the majority of offenders in the UK are white, as you would expect, because white people make up majority of the population. In fact, what's interesting is when you look at the population of white, Asian and black in the UK, and you look at the percentages of the offenders, they more or less match up, where whites make up over 80% of the cases, and then Asians and blacks having a smaller percentage because they make up a smaller percentage of the population. There have been many instances of grooming gangs up and down the country, in Glasgow, in the Midlands, in Cornwall, all of which were white perpetrators, but it didn't get a fraction of the news attention that the ones in the north of England got. Why? Media bias? Racism? Trying to paint a certain agenda? I mean, when white people are involved in these grooming gangs, Christianity is not questioned. When the church is involved in scandals, Christianity is not questioned. When the whole Jimmy Savile scandal came about, the far right weren't up in arms saying, oh my god, look, there is a very white Christian problem here in the UK. But when Asian Pakistani Muslim men do it, oh, there must be a link between their ethnicity and Islam and the crime that they've committed. And this is just silly. Has any one of you even bothered to understand what Islam says about this kind of crime? To put it easily, Islam's punishment is harsh. Having said that, where were the outcry and the public inquiry when McDonald's staff were exploiting other staff members? Elon Musk, where were your tweets? Tommy Robinson, far right, where was your anger? So ironic that parliamentarians are discussing about whether there should be a public inquiry, when Parliament itself is known to have many instances of sexual misconduct amongst parliamentarians. What about amongst the CBI business elite, the best of the best business people in the UK? Again, the irony, the BBC itself has cases of sexual misconduct, of harassment within its own premises. Have scandals taking place within the police, within the army, within UK universities. How can you pin down this problem as a very Asian, Pakistani, Muslim problem when it literally affects every single facet of British society? This is not a Pakistani Muslim problem. This is a very liberal problem. This is a very Western problem. If these Pakistani Muslim groomers were educated here, and they were raised here, and they've lived here for decades, and they've been nurtured and cultivated here, well then it's this society where the fingers should be pointed. It's the ideas and values created within this society, the objectification of women, the godlessness and zero fear of accountability from your creator, the idea that if you can get away with a crime, you may as well do it because no one's watching you, the idea of freedom. You're a human being. You can do what you want. You have instincts, you can fulfill them in whatever way you like. If the politicians and the business elite and the police and the high ranking of society are involved in this kind of stuff, it will trickle down to the rest of society. And so that is where the blame must be put. Why has all this been brought back to the forefront after 10-15 years? The political landscape in the West is changing dramatically. Trump has come to power. Musk is this far-right poster boy. You've got Andrew Tate, Allahu Alam, where his heart's at. Just had the far-right riots in the UK not long ago. You got the rise of the far-right across the rest of Europe, including Germany. Anti-immigration laws, anti-Islam laws, where the niqab was just banned. And this is where we as Muslims need to be aware, need to be astute, and we need to use our platforms and our arguments and our understanding to dispel this propaganda and this fear-mongering. It's always easier to blame the minorities for the deep socio-economic problems that the West is going through, rather than actually blame the ones who are blameworthy, which is the system and the establishment itself.